Welcome to Tea and Tarot with me, your host, Yashna. Each week I'll share what I've learned as I dive deeper into the world of tarot. I've got my cards in front of me, my cup of tea, and I can't wait to share this journey with you. This is Tea and Tarot.
Welcome to Tea and Tarot. Today I'll be talking about a lot of the different themes in tarot, followed by an overview of the Fool's journey through the major arcana. Before jumping into the content, I've decided to start this episode with the tarot reading instead, per some feedback from my lovely mother. My favorite thing when I talk to my mom about this podcast is when she starts the conversation by saying, "Hey, by the way, I've got some feedback for you." I immediately am like, oh, okay. And at my groan, she'll go, no, it's good, I promise. This, of course, is followed by the tidbit that the content in my episodes can be a bit boring, and the tarot readings are the more fun part of the episodes for her, and I should put that first so I keep people's attention. Now, for anyone listening, you can let me know if you agree or disagree. I say all of this with love because I very much appreciate my mom's support in listening to these episodes and wanting to help me make it even better. So, taking that advice, I'm going to swap the order of the reading and the content for this episode and see how it goes. I won't be able to do this for every episode since some of the readings are linked to the content discussed in that episode, but I'll switch it up every now and then so you can never guess my next move. She also noted, while this podcast is called Tea and Tarot, I never actually talk about tea. Though I always have a cup of it in front of me while recording, though for people listening in, you would never actually know that. So I'm going to try to remember to share what I'm sipping as I go through each episode, and in the future I might do kind of a special episode that's less tarot and more tea focused. We will see. For today, I've got a cup of rose tea, which is high in vitamin C and helps in your body's healing process and its ability to fight off infection. Now, without further ado, let's jump over to today's tarot reading. I am so excited to share that I am once again joined by my friend Paulina as we do a love reading. And we're back. I am with my friend Paulina again, and this time we're gonna do a simple 3-card spread for love.
Ooh.
A little love reading. I'm gonna take my cards and shuffle them, reset them, get them ready for a new reading. Don't mind my little watch tan.
You called yourself out.
It's so
probably not even noticeable.
It's so noticeable.
That's so funny.
To me.
Yashna tried tanning the other side though. She moved her watch to her left side so that her watch tan would be corrected today.
I think it helped a little.
Yeah. We definitely got sun.
We got some
walking.
sun. Yeah.
We did like a 1-hour walk today.
Mm-hmm.
Got some good sun. Very productive.
Okay. Now I'm going to have you shuffle the cards and think about love, like whatever question you have. I think that sets the scene for the reading today.
Oh,
but yeah, just shuffle it for as long as you want and think about that.
Okay. I'm very bad at shuffling.
So there's like 2 ways you can draw cards.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is you split the deck like we did last time. The other way is I fan these out and then you basically pick which cards call to you for each of them.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we're going to do this time.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do this time. So I'm just going to, oh dear. I'm going to try to fan these out. Okay, the cards are fanned out, and then you're going to draw them, and we're going to do past, present, and future as a simple 3-card spread for love. So when you pick them, just pick them and put them here in that same orientation.
Past?
Yeah, so first pick a past. I mean, it can be from anywhere in the deck.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, pick a past.
This will be past. do maybe this future, and let's do this for present.
So now we're going to flip the cards over. So
Okay.
the first one passed.
Uh-huh.
Justice. Interesting. I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
It's a major arcana card, and I think Justice is
okay.
like an interesting card to draw for a love reading, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, what does that mean?
Second one, Queen of Pentacles.
Oh,
Okay. Very grounded. So this is present state is Queen of Pentacles, and then future is an upside down Nine of Pentacles.
Oh, the orientation matters?
It's kind of up to the reader if they want to interpret it or not. This is something that I talk about in this episode with the Fool's Journey and some of the themes in tarot. But generally, you as a reader can decide if you want to do reverse meanings or not, because basically within the tarot deck you have 78 cards that are kind of reading into like the different phases of life and all the things like a person goes through. And when you add reverse meanings, now you have 156 themes.
Oh, okay. So it's like
And
the
thoughts.
opposite of what... so that's the opposite of what it's intended to be if it's upside down?
It can be. There's different ways to read reverse cards. I've heard some different things from people. A friend who does tarot readings likes to do reverse readings as more of a fear of the normal meaning, but some people read it as the exact opposite of what the forward meaning is.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be, instead of this being what's going to enable you, it's more of an obstacle or more something to keep in mind versus something that will support you.
Oh, that makes sense.
So there's
for
different
future,
ways to
yeah.
read it. I kind of like reading it as a fear card of like, this is something that you're scared of and something that's blocking you. But it also depends a little bit on what the card actually means.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I am going to consult my little manual for the
Yeah.
meanings of the cards
Yeah, go
really
ahead.
quick, and then we will be right back with the rest of this reading.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay, we are ready to do the reading. Before I share any of the meanings, I want to ask if you have a gut reaction just looking at any of the images or have any initial thoughts just from the names.
I think for the present one, the Queen of Pentacles, she just looks like very unbothered, which is where I'm at right now.
That's good,
Yeah,
that's good.
very unbothered. Yeah, I don't know about this upside down one though. It's kind of, what is she doing? Is she feeding a bird or? Like,
She's
what
not
is-
feeding a bird,
what
but
is
the
that
bird is
disc
on the disc. The disc represents like a pentacle.
Oh, I have no idea. No idea. I
That's
don't know
okay,
about
that's
justice.
okay.
It looks kind of scary though. Just like the two faces upside down, like a little spooky. Kind of accurate though.
Yeah, I think so. It is kind of an interesting reading looking at the meanings of the cards. In a lot of ways, I almost think it's kind of a continuation of the career reading last week, where your career and your love life are kind of intertwined right now as you're at a crossroads, which
Interesting.
it is interesting. And like, you'll see what I mean as I read the cards,
Okay.
but the first one, Justice, is kind of what you would expect looking at it. It's about balance, about truth. There's a lot of karma and a lot of cause and effect. So it's asking you to really take your past and learn from all of the good, learn from the bad. So as it relates to love, like understanding what was good about past relationships, what was bad about those relationships, what helped you, what didn't. But then also this inkling of whatever has happened till now, there is karma and there is balance with it. So if there were parts of the relationships that were really bad and hurt you more, there will be balance for that.
Okay.
And similarly, if there was a lot of good and stuff, like it all gets balanced out. So one thing that's kind of noted in the Light Seer's interpretation that I like is that the only true path ahead of you is not necessarily black or white, good or bad, but just one that you must lead with love.
Oh, that's cute.
So know that your good karma is loving
Mm-hmm.
and will help steer you in the right direction, but taking those lessons from the past to steer that.
Forward. Oh, okay. It's very insightful. I like that.
So I think it does kind of fit. My initial look at it when I flipped it over was, interesting. But I think it is just taking those lessons and knowing,
like applying it for the future.
Applying it to the future and knowing that karma's kind of got your back with stuff.
Yeah, that works for a career too.
Yeah. Now, the second card, Queen of Pentacles, is kind of gut feel what you saw in it. It is someone who is a healer, someone who is working on themselves, someone who is grounded. It usually represents a kind and nurturing heart, being generous. The tidbit that comes with this card is you're enjoying a deeply connected life and leading it with warmth and abundance and love. And I think where it really applies to your current situation and takeaways is it is about bringing groundedness to your situation and about making sure you're not overextending your energy towards others and really taking the time for yourself and using your strength and kindness and gathering energy from your friends, your family, your community. So that being the present is pretty fitting and
very accurate.
With regards to a love reading and applying it to that, it's kind of stepping away from relationships and putting too much energy into others and taking more time for yourself and grounding yourself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that one. I think that card's really pretty too.
Yeah, I like that card a lot.
Yeah.
And then the third card, which is looking to the future, is the Nine of Pentacles. And it is in the reverse meaning. So in its forward state, it means more meeting milestones and celebrating successes, feeling content, and more material satisfaction. The pentacles usually have to do more with material stuff, achievements, career, which is why it's kind of interesting that it came up with a love reading.
Oh, okay.
But in its upside down state, it literally means needing to evaluate your relationship with work, indicating material success while you feel alone. So really balancing out relationships in your life versus your focus on career and what that looks like. There's also feeling pressure to appear more successful than you might feel in that moment. So there's a lot more woes around not feeling content with your career situation. And in relation to a love reading, I think it really means that while you feel this, or while you feel confused about work, or while you're trying to figure that out, that needs to be your focus.
Yeah, that's very accurate.
Yeah. You need to focus more on feeling content with work and feeling content with your career to then move into a more successful relationship, because it is something lacking right now and something that you deserve to feel balanced in. So once that kind of balances itself out in your life, then I think it will lead you towards being able to open yourself up more for a real relationship.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, very accurate. Snaps to Yashna. No, that's kind of how I've been feeling anyway. So to see it all laid out in such pretty little cards, amazing.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts or takeaways from it?
No, I think it just reaffirms everything I'm kind of thinking on my own right now. I just need to take a break from the love, or just that whole world in general. I'm just doing my own thing right now. Just trying to get a job. Hire me. Yeah.
And I think it is a pretty accurate reading from our conversations and what you said of taking the time to learn from past mistakes, learn from the past, but then really focus more on yourself and taking energy from the people around you who you trust and care about to help you figure out what that future looks like.
Exactly. And I just moved, so I feel like it's more of a time for building relationships and friendships and, with family, friends, meeting new people. So love can take a back seat.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing, Yashna. Once again, she killed it. Hire her for your tarot needs.
Well, thank you for joining me again
Yes.
for a love reading. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Tune in next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to that reading. After a short break, I'll be right back to start talking more about the different themes in tarot and the Fool's Journey. So stay tuned. So let's jump into it. So a standard tarot deck has 78 total cards. There are 22 major arcana or trump cards, and these usually signify significant life lessons, milestones, or deep desires. There are 56 minor arcana cards, which are usually representative of more day-to-day issues, fleeting decisions or states, people, emotions. These are also seen as more detailed aspects of the major arcana to kind of help fill out those bigger life lessons. Arcana itself means secrets or mysteries. So during my past episode where I talked about the history of tarot cards, I mentioned that they were believed to hold secrets about life itself, and the term arcana really supports that. Each of the cards hold a mystery and are helping reveal different secrets of our lives. Within the minor arcana, there are 4 different suits that divide the cards into groupings of 14. And each of those suits are numbered 1 through 10 with 4 additional character cards at the end: the Page, Knight, Queen, and King. Now, each of those numbers and each of those characters have their own meanings, which add a lot of layers to each of the cards, and I'll be digging into that a lot more as I kind of dive into each of the minor arcana cards. But starting at a higher level, each of the 4 suits has its own meanings. There's wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. The wands are really representative of your desire and the soul. It looks at creativity, will, passion, instinct, wanting to travel. Usually when you get cards that have the suit of wands, it's really looking at what sparks you and what inspires you. It can range from the spectrum of what really gets your heart racing to what might be pulling too much out of you and draining that passion and that drive. The cups are more representative of what you feel, the heart. They look at emotion and love. If you get cards with the suit of cups, it's usually referring to romance and your relationship with others. Sometimes it's looking at what is draining you emotionally or where you might need to tap into your emotions more. The swords are more about what you think, the mind. It focuses around reason, action, power, intellect, decisions. When you get cards with the suit of swords, it's usually focusing more on your rational and your irrational thoughts, your nightmares versus your hopes, how you problem solve if you're overthinking something. The 4th suit, the pentacles, is about what you possess, the body. It usually refers more to material possessions, the physical body itself, and your achievements. When you get those cards, it's usually centered more around finance, your home, your career, and, like I said before, material belongings. There are also a couple other themes you can really pull on or invoke into the cards as you become more practiced. I want to start simple and not get too far into these, but maybe as I become a little more practiced and as I'm going through this journey with all of you, I might have some later episodes digging into these topics more. But tarot experts will tie different cards back to zodiac signs and astrology. So a lot of fortune telling will either pull on your star chart, or it might pull from tarot, or it could do both because they are very much linked to each other. Different cards can also reflect one of the 7 chakras and also link to the tree of life pathway as well. And each of those will point to different things to focus on with each of those readings. Similarly, you can use healing crystals to kind of set the mood when you do a reading and help guide the intention of the cards you pull. So those are all some more additional layers that I would love to dive into more, but are definitely kind of next step things to learn. So there are 78 cards, and as you go through those 70 cards, you basically have a way to depict most emotions and motions people go through. When you draw the cards, they could be upright or they could be reversed. Some choose not to read the reversed meaning, especially beginners can choose to ignore the reversed meanings if they want to help simplify it. But when you take that into account, you've essentially created 156 aspects in which to read and apply to your life or to whoever you're doing a reading for. The reversed meanings, the reverse cards can have lots of different meanings, and it's really up to interpretation of the person who's reading them. But it could refer to the complete opposite meaning of what is read in the forward position. It could usually mean something that's blocking you rather than something that's enabling you. It could also be read as something you fear. So when you pull it, it's kind of something to keep note of, but you're scared of whatever that meaning is. So there's a lot of different ways to read it. I like the idea that it's more of an obstacle or more of a fear you have rather than just the complete opposite of the forward position. But everyone reads reverse cards a little differently, and it sometimes also depends on the context of the card itself. Another thing really interesting as you look into the themes of tarot is that the cards are really meant to evoke emotion and stimulate your intuition as much as possible with the symbols and pictures in the decks. That's why one of the most important things is finding a deck that really resonates with you and you feel connected to, because when you're doing a reading, a lot of the first steps in it is knowing what you feel intuitively when you look at the cards without even knowing what they mean. And some of that intuition is the quote-unquote supernatural part of tarot. What we feel and what we react to is what's divine about the readings in its own way. Our subconscious thoughts reveal our deepest fears, hopes, and thoughts. And when you do a reading, or when I'm doing a reading, it's important to know how you feel looking at the cards. What are you thinking subconsciously? What has come to the forefront of your mind that's not normally there? And that's why so many of the cards hold so much meaning to us, and why sometimes readings feel startling or alarming, because they're bringing up images, they're bringing up thoughts that you don't really want to think about, but should be thinking about in that moment to kind of help guide you. So with that, those are kind of the high level themes of tarot. I will be digging into so many more of these themes and some of the imagery that we see in cards, specifically for the Rider-Waite deck and the Lightseers deck, since those are the ones I have, as I break down each of the cards in future episodes. One other thing I kind of want to talk about in this theme is the Fool's Journey. So as you look at the major arcana cards, they are numbered 0 through 21, starting at the Fool and going through the World. As I mentioned in a prior episode, the major arcana were seen as trump cards, in that each subsequent card trumps the prior one with additional wisdom or information. While it's not necessarily true that each card has a one-up on the prior card, it does take us on the Fool's journey of growth as you go through the cards sequentially. So when I keep saying the Fool's journey, it is really following the Fool through their journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation through each of the major arcana phases. This journey has often been seen in novels and movies around us, maybe not necessarily pulling from tarot exactly, but you can see a lot of examples of it in media. One of the kind of common examples and ties people have to the tarot journey is Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, where she starts as this naive girl, but slowly learns through her friends to grow and transform and figure out what she really wants by the end of her journey. Some other common tales that get linked to the major arcana journey are Alice in Wonderland, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and their journeys do tie really closely to the Fool's journey as you walk through it. And it was really interesting for me to kind of reflect on that because I've seen those stories, I've read them, but I hadn't ever thought about it from the perspective of what the tarot cards also depict. And it was only through reading some different articles online, doing more research, that I really started to see those ties. So it's really interesting, really fascinating to me. In our lives, we likely go through this cycle several times, starting at 0 and then growing and transforming till we reach the end of that journey before we reset and set forth on a completely new journey in life. We never just go through it once. Every phase of our life is a new journey we're going on, and we might be going on multiple in parallel if you are kind of going on a journey of growth in your career and a journey of growth in love, kind of parallel to each other. The major arcana can be broken down into 3 phases. The first phase is more personal growth and growing your skill sets. Then it expands to seeing the world around you, and then finally the universe. So I'm going to give a pretty high level overview of all of the major arcana cards, and my plan is to break these down a lot more in future episodes. But to give kind of a high overview as we walk through this journey, we start at 0, the Fool. This is a huge card for beginnings. For the sake of me kind of interpreting this journey, I'm going to call the Fool a she, her, mostly because I'm thinking of myself or thinking about my deck as well, which depicts the Fool as a young woman embarking on this journey. So most decks will depict her with just a stick and not much else, very minimal belonging, symbolizing the beginning and start of this journey. But she's ready to set off and grow, and that's how our journey begins. The first person she encounters is Major Arcana card number 1, the Magician. She encounters him, who represents being active and impulsive, learns more about manifesting and finding new ambition externally. He also helps her note that we have what we need to succeed. It's just a matter of using it. So at the same time, she meets the High Priestess, who is more representative of our unconscious intuition. She helps tell us that we need to take the time to reflect on our potential and what we already know, and shows us more of the hidden parts of ourselves. So with these 2 new learnings on her tool belt, the Fool continues on her journey and encounters the Empress, who is an embodiment of her mother, or at least symbolizes a mother figure in her life, nourishing her and filling her with unconditional love to keep growing. She is also representative of Mother Nature and really taking time to feel grounded and explore the world around her. The Emperor, on the flip side, is representative of her father, or a general father figure, and represents more structure and authority. From him, she learns more about rules needed and structure that is needed in order to really live your life fully. As the Fool begins to venture out of her home, she then meets the Hierophant, who represents teachers and beginning to be influenced by others around you, being influenced by more external factors. She takes those teachings, takes that learning, and continues on her journey, and from there now realizes she wants to share this journey with someone else. And this is card number 6, the Lovers. She wants to find a partner who she can share all of these learnings with and also embody some of the other lovers that she sees around her. With that realization and growth, the Fool decides to start taking action to really grow more. And that is what the Chariot symbolizes, is getting on and just taking action and going on this journey. She finds newfound internal strength, card number 8, and the ability to chase her ambitions with what she has herself. And as she's been learning and taking in so much, the next card, the Hermit, really reflects taking the time to reflect on everything she's learned so far and trying to internalize more of those teachings to understand how the world works. Through this reflection, she realizes everything is a balance, and as the wheel turns, things can either tip to be good or bad. But there's also justice, and for any good or bad action, there will be consequences, or there is karma to help balance out what just happened. So those are cards 10 and 11, more understandings about how the world actually works. And this turns her into the Hanged Man, which is Major Arcana number 12, where she is waiting and surrendering to the world, trusting that the cosmos and the divine world will take care of her, and that whatever happens, happens. And that brings her to the symbolic death, which some tarot decks depicted as just death. The Light Seers deck depicts it as death and rebirth, which I really love. And it really is her transformative point. Her old self that was limited by a narrow viewpoint of the world has died, and she is being reborn with a clean slate to become someone new. With this new state, she finds peace and temperance, which is number 14, practicing patience and enjoying her current spiritual balance that she has found. Once she's ready to move on from that state, she finds herself still shackled to the past. Just because your older self dies doesn't mean it just goes away magically. And this is where she encounters the devil, who steps in and helps show her what her restrictions and her vices are, so she can understand what's really blocking her. And then the Tower assists the Fool to truly shake off those restrictions using external forces that can feel terrifying and feel like the rug is being pulled out from under your feet. But now that the Tower has really shaken off that past, she is free to move forth and start to grow into who she really is. Next, she is illuminated by the Star, card number 17, which provides hope and renewal to the Fool as she keeps moving forward. At the same time, the Moon casts a shadow, making sure she is facing any old fears and anxieties. The Star and the Moon really balance itself out with your hopes being balanced by your fears. But working through those old fears and anxieties allows her to really expand and fully grow into who she wants to be, bringing her to the sun, which really just embodies warmth and finding that happiness. In one of her final steps on this journey, she faces judgment, which is card number 20 of 21. And she must acknowledge any past ego or vices that she has shed and accept who she really is and what her purpose is. Judgment is about accepting who you were, but who you are, accepting not only who you were and what you've let go of, but also who you are now and where you're stepping and what you're stepping forward into, which brings her to the end of her journey. She has now mastered the world and has completed this full journey, and it's a chance to really celebrate and appreciate how far she's come. And as this journey ends with the world, it will begin anew with the next journey she decides to embark on, And from there, she will start again at 0 as the Fool, open-minded, naive, and ready to grow and learn once more. Now, if you think the Fool's journey is a lot, it definitely feels that way to me as well. There's so much meaning packed into the major arcana cards, and this is just 22 of the 78 cards in this deck. Each of the minor arcana add a lot more meaning to all of those different phases, help offer a lot more teachings and learnings. So if you feel like there were gaps in that journey or feel like there's so much more that needs to be said, it's because that is not everything. There are 56 more cards that help offer different meanings and teachings. So it's a really interesting journey. I can't keep saying it enough, but I am so excited to be going on this journey. I am definitely at 0 right now, the Fool, learning everything, taking it in, not having a lot of tarot specific skill sets on my belt yet, but I am so ready to learn more about it and to share this journey with all of you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. As always, let me know what you thought and reach out with any additional information you might have or any burning questions you want me to answer. Next week, I'll start breaking down the actual cards, starting with my Lightseer card and one of my personal favorites, the Fool. Thank you for listening to Tea and Tarot with Yashna. This episode was produced, hosted, and edited by me, Yashna Bunsel, and brought to you by Tea Time Podcast. Special thanks to my friend Paulina for joining me for a tarot reading today. The tarot reading was done using the Lightseers deck by Chris Ann, and all card visuals were from the Lightseers deck and the Rider Waite Smith tarot deck. Music was made using SoundRaw. Research was done using Healing Through Tarot, LizRoberta.com, The Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean, the Lightseers Guidebook, and much web browsing. Join me next week for another episode of Tea and Tarot.